Freemasonry, as you may know, includes a moral training program which incorporates a series of lessons using rituals and symbols as teaching tools. A new Freemason is presented with a great many symbols which make more or less sense to him, depending on his background, and some of which initially will make no sense at all. I'd like to unpack one of these. As you may know, I'm presently the master of a Freemasons lodge, and as such I'm entitled to speak for my lodge, but I'm not doing so on this occasion. I'm a member of several lodges affiliated with the Grand Lodge of Western Australia and another under the Grand Lodge of Ireland. However, once again, I'm not representing their views here either. I'm giving my own opinion, and spoiler alert, I won't be disclosing any secrets. Sometime after his initiation, an entered apprentice Freemason is often invited to witness a set speech and presentation called The Lecture on the First Tracing Board. Among other things, it briefly explains the various symbols displayed around the lodge room when it's open in this degree. On the floor is a symbol known as the mosaic pavement, these days usually a specifically designed carpet, and it's the border around this pavement that I want to discuss. The Western Australian version of the ritual tells us, the indented or tessellated border refers to the planets, which in their various revolutions form a beautiful border of skirt work around that grand luminary, the sun, as the other does round that of the Freemasons' lodge. Really? Where else have we seen planets represented like this? Or revolutions represented by a zigzag going around a rectangle? I'll park this explanation for a moment. I'm a big believer in Occam's razor, the philosophic principle named after 14th century English churchman William of Ockham. According to Wikipedia, Occam's razor is a problem-solving principle which favours explanations constructed with the smallest possible set of assumptions. If you have two competing explanations, the simplest is usually correct. Many obscure points in Masonic symbolism can become more accessible if we choose to view them first through the lens of what might have helped people in the building trade construct buildings. I therefore propose a simpler explanation for the zigzag pattern based on certain principles which our forebears used in construction. Long before Pythagoras proposed his theorem, it was well known that anyone could quickly find a right angle by constructing a triangle with sides measuring 3, 4, and 5 units. The two shorter sides then form a right angle. In another part of the ritual, we're told that at the building of King Solomon's temple, there was no sound of a metal tool heard through the building, for the stones were prepared in the quarry, the timbers prepared in the forest and placed in position with wooden mauls. All well and good, but how do they go about preparing a course of stones at a remote location so they would be a perfect fit after transport? An explanation can be found in the traditions of a small English order known as the Operatives. It's worth quoting from that order's third-degree ritual. This was done by laying out the stones for each course on the ground according to a template or pattern provided, and by making such minor adjustments as might be required. The template itself is said to have been in the form of a series of diamonds or lozenge shapes, each diamond being formed by 4 3x4x5 triangles. If so, it would look very much like the pattern on the Royal Arch sash. It may account for traditional indented borders of the speculative lodge carpet. So, if we can imagine a template made by, for example, joining 3 laths to form a triangle of 3x4x5 units in its interior, after defining the interior wall by snapping a line with a string soaked in paint or clay, something like a modern chalk line, it'd be a simple matter to quickly trace a series of triangles along that line, and then lozenges with this tool. This would then produce a useful template to lay the newly cut stones on to check them for size. The pattern left would very much resemble the indented border of the mosaic pavement we see in the lodges of many jurisdictions. While our forebears were good at grafting moral lessons and symbols onto many of the practical aspects of the craft, such as the tools, you may see merit in researching what those practical aspects were in the first place. If you're a Royal Arch Freemason in an English recognised jurisdiction, you might like to seek membership in the Operatives. The full title of this order is the Worshipful Society of Freemasons, Rough Masons, Wallers, Slaters, Pavers, Plasterers, and Bricklayers. What generations of Freemasons have done more or less successfully is to graft moral lessons onto the usages and practices of the building trade. However, these can prove quite perplexing if they originate from what's fallen into disuse. The Operatives was formed in the 20th century, the early 20th century, by English tradesmen who were also Freemasons to preserve those usages as much as possible. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support my cause of throwing a little light on the subject of Freemasonry, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below to help the algorithms. If you have any questions about this video or there's anything else you'd like to see more of, please let me know. My name is Vivian, and you've been watching Art, Ritual and Myth.
Right, I'll leave you to shut the lights off when you've